The most distinguishing feature of eukaryotic cells is the presence of a nucleus. The prefix EU means true, and karyon means nucleus. Thus, eukaryotic cells have a true nucleus. All plants, fungi, and some protists have cell walls. These are made of different materials across the different groups, but they all provide support and protection for the cells. Animals and some protists do not have cell walls. Eukaryotic cells are much more complex, large, and have a wide range of organelles that perform specific functions. The nucleus is the biggest organelle and easily seen with a light microscope. This is where the DNA, our genetic material, is stored. Human DNA is stored as 46 chromosomes. During normal function of the cell, these are arranged in loose strands that we call chromatin. The nucleus is contained within a double membrane called the nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope has many small perforations called nuclear pores to allow materials to move into or out of the nucleus. Your DNA never exits the nucleus because it is too large. The large dark area in the center of the nucleus is the nucleolus. This is where the cell makes another organelle called ribosomes. Ribosomes are extremely small organelles that make proteins. These protein factories do not have membranes, which means they can be found in prokaryotic cells as well. Ribosomes are made up of two subunits, one large and one small. Ribosomes exist all throughout the cell. Some float freely through the cytoplasm, and others are attached to an internal membrane called the rough endoplasmic reticulum. From the nucleus all the way out to the plasma membrane exists a complex series of internal membranes called the endomembrane system. The prefix endo simply means inside. Some sections are continuously connected. Other sections are separated by the cytoplasm, but small membrane-bound vesicles can travel between them. The endoplasmic reticulum is a series of folded membranes that are located right next to the nucleus in the middle of the cell. There are two distinct types of the endoplasmic reticulum. Rough ER is covered in ribosomes. This gives the membrane a rough-like sandpaper appearance, which is the reason it is called the rough ER. Since the function of ribosomes is to make proteins, the function of the rough ER is to secrete proteins. Outside of the rough ER is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum has no ribosomes. Instead, it secretes lipids, stores calcium ions, and helps to detoxify toxins in the cell. Liver cells that are responsible for detoxification of your blood have an abundance of smooth ER. After proteins are secreted from the rough ER, they are transported to the cis, or receiving side, of the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, also commonly called the Golgi body, is a series of flattened membranes that package, modify, and ship proteins. You can think of the Golgi apparatus as the UPS, or mail system of the cell. It receives goods, proteins, from the rough ER. As those move through the membranes, they are altered to work correctly. By the time the proteins have reached the opposite shipping side of the Golgi apparatus, they are packaged into small pockets of membrane called vesicles and transported throughout the cell. Many proteins transported will go all the way out to the plasma membrane. A small organelle called the lysosome works by digesting materials inside of the cell. The prefix lys means break, and soma means body. Lysosomes are made of a group of digestive enzymes that are surrounded by a membrane. When the lysosome encounters something that needs to be destroyed, the lysosome merges with it and starts to break it down. This digestion is the same thing you do with food in your stomach and small intestine when you digest food. The lysosome will often digest food for the cell. They also break down foreign pathogens like harmful bacteria and organelles that are old or damaged. Any small membrane-bound sac in the cell is called a vesicle. Vesicles can have a variety of functions, but often are used to transport large materials. Large molecules, like proteins, from one place to another. Vacuoles are simply a vesicle that are relatively large. They don't typically move around, but instead store materials for the cell. Some vacuoles store food, water, colorful pigments, and even toxins that plants can use to protect themselves from herbivores. Plants have a characteristic large central vacuole. This large storage place holds mostly water, which creates pressure inside the cell by pushing everything else out towards the plasma membrane and cell wall. This gives plants a turgid or stiff structure that helps them stand upright. Peroxisomes are small membrane-bound sacs similar in size to lysosomes. These organelles are not well understood. Peroxisomes produce a toxic substance called peroxide, then break the peroxide down into water. Peroxisomes can also break down fats. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. This means that they make energy needed to function by completing the process of cellular respiration. All eukaryotic cells have mitochondria. Mitochondria are made of two membranes. The inner membrane is called the cristae. It is highly folded, which gives it a lot of surface area to complete the reactions in cell respiration. The energy produced by the mitochondria is in the form of ATP. Chloroplasts are also energy-converting organelles that turn sunlight into carbohydrates like glucose. Sunlight is captured in the process of photosynthesis. These are only found in producers, all plants, and some protists, such as algae. Chloroplasts also have a series of membranes. The innermost membrane is called the thylakoid. It is highly folded into small stacks that give it a huge surface area for capturing sunlight for photosynthesis. Chloroplasts capture energy using photopigments called chlorophyll that cause the green color of plants. The sugars made in photosynthesis can then be used by the mitochondria to make ATP.